All right, guys, welcome back to the tutorial series. So basically what we have here is an application where I'm going to show you how to functionally render some components on the screen and also connect API and have that data displayed. So kind of background, what I was trying to do is create an application here that was going to connect a bunch of speed test APIs and kind of functionally get a congruent score for websites. But what happened is a lot of speed test websites were paywalling their APIs, which I can understand, but I wish they were free. So I decided to turn this into just a tutorial app. So starting off with the homepage here, basically what we have is setting up some use states, which I went over previously, some functions that take in the events and handle things. But going down here to see what's actually returned, so essentially what we have is URL change here for the input type, which is calling this function to essentially set the website URL as the target value on change. Then what I have down here is a functional rendering of buttons. So the handle submit button, obviously, which says run speed test, is going to come up here, show results, which is true, also set loading, which is also true, which is what it's going to do. As soon as it's clicked, it's going to switch that button to a handle new website button, which all that does is reload it. So reloads the app so you can run another website. And then essentially once the show results button is set as true, then it's going to render my functional component. And let me show you what that looks like. So essentially what I have is a React component here, Google Speed Test, which takes in a website URL, which we're going back here, is we're giving it that website URL, which we're setting here. And obviously that's a state variable. So that gets rendered. And then, so this is kind of where the magic starts to happen. So essentially I'm setting up a use effect whenever it is loaded. So let me back up. I have a dependent component here that has to take in the website URL for it to actually load to make sure that it's not, someone's not pushing like a blank URL here in order for this to actually work. So what we're doing is we're awaiting the Google speed test results, and then on the return, we are functionally showing the results here and displaying a load URL before then. So one of the websites I'm going to be testing today and kind of showing you how it works is the Delightful Engineering website, which was made by my good friend Austin. He is an absolute wizard, and if you want to learn and start growing your computer science, software engineering repertoire, then I would definitely recommend checking out this website. It's got a lot of really cool stuff here. For sure, check it out. So what I'm going to do is grab the URL, come here, paste that in, run it. So as you can see, test new website and gives us a loading. So that is handled here in the code, which you can see it's just a spinning Tailwind CSS component here. And it's basically waiting for the results to return. So when the results return, then we want to render information that comes back from the API. So if we go here, more tools, and look at what it returns with. Oh, I need to console.log that. So let me console.log this really quickly, if I can spell. And then let me refresh this and run it again. Now, if we go to the developer tools, you will see that it returns the object. And this is the data that Google PageSpeed Insights returns. As you can see, it is a massive, massive object and kind of breaks down by the actual Lighthouse results, loading experience, and I will show you here, if I exit out of that, kind of how I'm grabbing that data. Actually, I will leave that open to show you where I'm pulling it from. So if we scroll down here, this is getting the actual speed test results from the audit. So basically I'm grabbing the description here, which is the results.lighthouse result, as you can see. So grabbing that, and then what I want is to get the audits object. So audits, and then once in this drop-down menu, you need to give it essentially this type of string object in order to actually go into these. So for example, let's see, largest contentful paint. So if I go here to large contentful paint, drop that down, then I'm grabbing first the description and then also the display value out of this. So 1 second description. You can grab, using this kind of methodology, you can grab any and all elements that you want to display out of the API call. And then, for example, if I close this, you can see I have it broken up by that. And then the actual loading experience results. So it gives you the rating for everything, cumulative layout shift, time to first byte, and any of the variables that you want. So this is kind of how you want to do it. I have it broken up by a lot of Tailwind results, but it's super easy to set up. And then let me show you the actual API. So in the actual API folder here, make sure I also have it named with a capital API. If you just have like an API, it's going to render a actual React API folder, which I don't want to do. So essentially, I have the API URL, API key, and then I'm exporting the constant Google Space Insights that takes in the URL, which you can see here. We are giving it here. And then what it's doing is doing just a wait fetch. You can set up your API key just through Google PageSpeed Insights developer portal. It's super easy. So you go grab that, get your key. It's free, and it takes like 10 seconds to get. And then you just paste that in here. And then it's really easy. It's already set up. This is the syntax to actually fetch it, giving it your URL, API key, and then you're awaiting the response. You really, especially whenever you're doing API calls, you want to make sure you have, firstly, you're awaiting the response, and then you're also awaiting for like the response.json. If you don't do this, it's basically going to just return the data itself and not await for anything. So this is just standard practice. You have to await both of these in order to return the correct data. So just talking a little bit about what I wanted to do is essentially grab a lot of these different variables here. Like for example, standard practice for like website speed test is it'll always have a cumulative layout shift, time to first byte, at least from Lighthouse results anyways. So I wanted to essentially store all of those and get congruent scores to average them out on the website. But obviously I only have one component. But if you wanted to do that, what you would do is essentially set up some React, like some custom hooks in a custom hook folder, and save those variables as their own kind of instance whenever they come back. And then probably set up a little bit of like logic where if this test or takes 3 different tests, and if they're all fast, then you return like a fast like variable up at the top. But I'm not going to go into that today. But this is really simple, just logic here. So if not loading, then show this button. And then if it is loading, then change it to this button. Let me grab this again. And then so literally on click, you change this state. So loading is now true. So test new website. Also, I would definitely recommend learning some Tailwind CSS, because it is really, really good for especially getting into CSS instead of having to deal with a module.css folder. You can do it, and it gives you a little bit more control over how your website looks. But Tailwind is just fine, and Tailwind's evolved over the past couple of years to be extremely controlling of the website, which is good. So I would definitely recommend, if you're getting started, to look up the Tailwind CSS documentation, some tutorials on YouTube, and I think that'll really help you guys get good looking websites. Um, but that's really it. This source code will be linked at the bottom of this video and also on my LinkedIn. So connect with me. Also follow me on YouTube for more tutorials like this. I appreciate it.